Hezbollah or France, but France's relationship with Lebanon, America is allowing France to play that role because this is what global powers do. Yes, you've got a history with Lebanon. You can take charge of the negotiations, but we need to approve it. So it's not saying that they are imposing on us who they want, but it's out of our hands as people who want change, because we don't have the numbers in Parliament. And this is it. This is how you play politics in any country. No different in America with the Democrats and the Republicans. If you've got the numbers, you're going to win. Your man, your woman, your candidate will win. So we've got to go to Parliament. I'm observing, I'm getting more informed. I'm talking to the MPs, even members of the, Tayar or whoever it is. I'm not averse to talking to anyone. But in all reality, we need to keep this in mind and not get so caught up on the Tagheriyin. They put in a criteria which was really good. They determined what, and it's based on their qualifications, and that is very good. We've never had that before. So they're changing the process. They're changing how things are done, but they can't, in all truth and pragmatically, influence anything alone. They have to align, but at the end of the day, what's going to happen is, as I said, these two players who are the major negotiating partners are going to be the ones that elect or determine who the next president of Lebanon is. So
I see your point, but then whatever they decide on, they still need the backing of the 13. Do you think the 13 are going to go with the flow? And
it depends on who the candidate is. Like, they haven't mentioned the commander-in-chief of the Lebanese army, Joseph Aoun. I think they're holding back names at the moment because they're negotiating behind the scenes and they don't want to burn their names.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it depends who that name is. And I don't think it'll ever be someone like Gibran Bassil, because there's no, sentiment on any level globally for his name to be thrown into the ring. But it comes down to, who that name is going to be. And what I'm hearing really is it's possibly going to be Joseph Aoun. So I think he's someone that America would agree with because he's moderate and he will,
and he's proven.
And he's proven, he's not perfect. He's not what we want because we want someone who will really bring the spirit of revolution in a peaceful way and bring change. But we're not there yet. We haven't done our job as the citizens of this country and the citizens around. We haven't done our job yet. We need to do it in 2026 if we really want to play a role. And there's a lot we can do in the diaspora and in Lebanon.
Absolutely. I'm going to take a question from Christine. Christine, go ahead. And how are you, Christine?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good.
It's good to see you, Daisy. Thank you so much for all the efforts that you're doing. You're amazing. Lebanon needs people like you.
Thank you very much, Christine. And I've heard you speak too, and I've watched you in different Zoom conversations, and I know how committed you are. Totally committed to Lebanon, and it's great that you're engaged, and that's what we need from the diaspora. We need engagement.
100%. I'm gonna, what you said just now, just kind of like, I thought, okay, so we're waiting for France and the USA to decide our fate. And I find that a little bit, you know, when you do the math, any 43 plus group of groups, we've got, you know, L'Orient du Jour separated the 128 into 13 different segments. And if you get any three groups or three groups that add up to 43 MPs, they can do the exact same thing that Hezbollah, Tayyar, and Amal are doing right now. So if we do get a name, isn't it possible those other three can do the exact same thing and we're just spinning in circles?
Well, the thing is that let's be realistic here. The Lebanese forces, with the greatest of respect, and I've spoken to Sitrida in Parliament, and they were pushing forward Michel Marwad's name. But Samir Jaja, just 2 weeks ago, made a statement saying that, you know, we are supporting Michel Marwad, but if another candidate such as Joseph Aoun was put forward, we wouldn't be averse to that. So we're getting signs of insinuations of where they're leaning. So it's a game, Christine. It really is. And
What I'd like to know is the law, because look, remember when they had the American elections, and there was a moment in time when if they didn't, you know, ordain Trump, then sorry about that. If they didn't ordain him in time, then I think it was Vice President Pence would become the president, because there's a law. So we already went past the deadline, which was October 31st. So isn't there, like, we shouldn't be hanging. And here in Canada, we would have something called a prorogued government, where the prime minister would go to the existing head of state and say, you know, you have to hold parliament because we don't have, you know, we're going to be out of power if you don't prorogue it. And then the power slips into the governor general. For that instant, there's always somebody in power at any point in time. And I would think that our constitution has that clause somewhere. So isn't technically, and I always thought it goes to the head of the Lebanese army. So isn't it technically him now anyways? Like, who's the head of state right now? It's not the president doesn't exist. So who is the head of state for Lebanon right now, today?
Well, there is no head of state. And I think I can't answer that question on a legal basis because I'm not familiar with the law. But I just look at history. Look at what happened the previous elections with, and it took 2 years to get President Aoun, and it caused a great vacuum and lack of governance in the country. I think, you know, what they're trying to do is what they're doing with the people at the moment. I think what they want to get to is that they will drag this out so that by the time they nominate somebody, the people who are already saying this, by the way, will say, "Khalsuna ba'a min makan," put whoever in. And this is something we should never do.
We don't want to do, yeah.
Should not do that. But I'm hearing it already in the streets. People are saying this, like, "Khalsuna ba'a," just put whoever in. We need a president, and that is the wrong attitude. And I know that what I said, like, you know, we don't have much power, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't be standing up and voicing what we want. We want a true head of state that represents the will of the people and will work towards change. And I think that's really important because we need to get the narrative out. We should stop talking about khalsuna ba'a, yani. We should stop speaking in this language. We should evolve and we should become mature, and we should demand the right candidate to be the next head of state. So on the legal basis, your question, I'm not sure, but historically they can drag this out because they write the laws. They've written the laws. They keep changing the laws because they've got the power.
And they keep cheating too. So like this power that this group has right now with they're in control of this right now by the number 3. And we know that during the elections, there was at last minute, people slipped in last minute, and there was a lot of illegal things going on, and there were seats called that were reversed. And you know what? It was 3, if you think about it. And if that had not happened, we wouldn't be in this situation right now. So one of the things we cannot do is say, oh, we got to wait till 2026. Okay, we have to do that and be prepared, get our documents, get prepared, rally with the 13 and the change movement, or whomever, and develop political parties that make sense. Like, we had 1,500 people running. We had, at the last minute, we were waiting for these coalition lists. It just wasn't happening. And we did the same thing. Just put those names on a list and tell us who to vote for. Like, we keep doing, this is a Lebanese. We are driven by our emotions. We are driven by our emotions. We all are. It's in our DNA. I've seen it through my own parents. You don't have to be born inside Lebanon to see a Lebanese passionate person lead the day by their emotions. And we need to look. I was just visiting my own family. They're Hauniye, and I love them. They're educated. They love me. It's like they're humans. They're Lebanese people. Like, I care about them, but they've been involved in Lebanese politics longer than I have, but it's almost like you're stuck to a loyal promise to yourself. It's almost like you're hurting yourself to change your mind.
Yeah. And it's
we shouldn't be judging. Like, we should judge these people.
Look, I've got family too who are with Auniye and others who are Lebanese forces, and I love them totally. They're my family. I would never, I don't argue with them, because, it's, I've tried, and it was like, they're just not ready to see what's going on, and their commitment is, it's on another level. So it's okay though, Christine, because I was saying this to someone yesterday or today, that we don't need the majority of people. We don't need everyone to be on the same wavelength. People learn at different stages. People will get on the bus later on when they see things. But, we need to just get to a tipping point. And we actually are at the tipping point, because, in these elections, nearly 500,000, just over 500,000 people in the diaspora and in Lebanon voted for someone who stood for change. And that's out of 1.8 million. So it's over 30%, 32, 33% of the people. But because we didn't have a party and we had so many individuals, as you were saying, their votes became diluted. And unfortunately, we didn't see, as Samir was asking for, saying before, we need 30, 40 MPs. We could have possibly, with that number of votes, that was the highest number of votes that any group got. The party that received the highest number of votes was Hezbollah, which got 330,000 odd votes. So change got over 500,000 votes, which was historic. It's monumental. With no money. It's
with all the love of Lebanon and no money.
Is there, but the organization wasn't, because we just didn't have enough time. And I challenge you on the point that it's a Lebanese thing. It's just, it happens all over the world, but the rest of the world and, governments like in Australia and America, and that they've been very organized politically for a long time. They know how to run the game. Lebanon is 100 years old. We haven't really had political parties. We've had religious parties. So we're really getting now aware how important politics is. And as you said, the most critical thing, and why we need to get into focus right now, is to set up political parties for change. And this is one of the key conversations I'm having with all of these independent MPs and other experts about how amazing our result would have been if we had 1 or 2 or 3 change parties, and those 500,000 votes were directed to those parties. So
100%. 100%. And you know what? It was all, and that's another thing. It was all about a popularity contest, as opposed to what is your platform and beliefs for moving forward with this.
And this is something to really get clear about, and this is our role in the diaspora, is really to guide the roadmap, define the roadmap, because we're aware of it. We see it in Canada, in America, everywhere. We know how political parties play out and define their platform. And that's what we need to help how we can really help. And we can get into that conversation, but that's very important. Sorry, Zahi.
If I can get into that, but Christine made a great point, and so did you, Daisy. The thing is, just like you say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. At the same time, laws are good enough based on who interprets these laws. And unfortunately, and I think this is part of our takeaway for the change movement, saying, well, we know that there are flaws and there are gaps in the Constitution. Why weren't these addressed from the get-go? Because we knew, it's like, all right, they got in, we knew that we're going to get into like some sort of power vacuum and there was going to be a gap. So why didn't we address this prior? And I think we unfortunately got into the game of the establishment and lost track of it. At the same time, we do a lot of checking, or we try things and then we go back. For example, a lot of people don't know that there was a Senate in Lebanon in 1927. Like Majlis al-Shuyukh that they talk about in the Taif agreement was already established in 1927, but they're like, you know what? The sectarian leaders weren't getting along. Let's just not do it. So, and I think one last thing, I'm going to end it here. Judicial freedom, and if you had qada musta'il, we wouldn't be in this mess. Australia, Canada, France, America, we have checks and balances.
Yes.
No one president can, even when Trump was president, a lot of people were fearful that he might do 1, 2, 3. Well, there was rules, regulations, laws that prohibit him from doing these things. So one day.
The point about why didn't we see it? Why didn't we anticipate it? I'm sure we did, and I'm sure there are a lot of people. But again, there's a lot of questions. Why this? Why this? Why this? But what we should be doing is noting down right now what we want to change, because even if we know we're not in power, we can do nothing.
Correct.
But in the room, at least we are sitting in the room where it happens now. We've got 13 plus, there's others. There's 23, 25, 28 people who all want a change in Lebanon and the right future for Lebanon, the right laws, the right structure. We're in the room, we've got numbers, but we don't have as many numbers as we need. It's all a numbers game. So what we need to do is take note of everything that is not in place right now and say, right, this is what needs to get changed. We can assist in that way. And when we also get together as a diaspora, because one thing I keep saying, and Zahi, you've probably heard me say it a million times, is our role in the diaspora is very critical. And we want the Lebanese in Lebanon and the MPs and the change MPs to get together and stay together and work together. And they are really trying, and they're very respectful of each other. But they're 13 individuals from different areas, and they say, look, my constituents, my things are different to Yassin. Faraz's problems are different to Michelle Dwayhe, because their areas are different. So they've got individual issues that they have to deal with, and they have different ways of achieving it. But we as a diaspora are similar we're different countries, but we have the advantage of having lived in democracies. And we need to get together. We need to build a global alliance for Lebanon and not have hundreds of diaspora groups doing similar things, diluting our power, diluting our voice. Everyone's doing the same thing. And we need to lead the way. We need to come together to have one organization that's global, that includes all of these different organizations, but speak for Lebanon with one voice. And when we start doing that, we can lead the way for those inside Lebanon and say, we will assist you inside Lebanon for the next elections. Based on this, you've got to come together and we've got to do this the right way. We've got to use intelligence, use the smart strategies that are used globally in other countries.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think we've failed as Lebanese diaspora and as Lebanese is lobbying. We have been horrible with lobbying. It's unfortunate. I'm going to take Samir has his hand up. Go ahead, Samir.
Yeah, hi. Sorry if I'm not trying to impose. I'm just really with heartfelt love for Lebanon to share what I think and I think will work. I think we need to work on several fronts, and we have lots of us, so we need to organize and start that. As much as there's poverty in Lebanon, but overall, we're not just a poverty country. We are very well educated. We shouldn't let this situation last for too long because the next generation not ready and it's going to be a worse situation. So I think it's very important to prepare for the next 4 years. That's one of the elements. And maybe 2 years before the elections, learn from our mistakes. I was a good example. I did what I need to do, but the system failed me to be able to vote, although my wife and son voted. And I went 3.5 hours to monitor the elections and I was denied. But that's only an example. I'm not sure about this. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but I think that's one element we need to do. Another thing, our efforts in general are being diluted with more poverty. The poor people are going to be swayed with the old system at the last minute, giving them $100, $200, whatever. Just this way they can feel something, and that's the old system. I think we need to have also some projects that can connect and help these poor people and get our MPs to be at least in the involved and give the feeling to these people that whatever we vote, these are our MPs and they make a difference and they work for the people. And I have a strong belief that all our 13 MPs are valid, they are working hard, I have no doubt about their intentions. I'm not concerned about everybody says they are working that separately or whatever. They are basically building the foundation for the change. And we need to let each and everyone freely do what they need to do. In response, with respect to the presidency, it is important that we do the best we can. And we need to be smart politicians. I'm not a politician. I never liked politics, but I have logic. We have Jumblat. They call him Baidat al-Aban. That means he can sway votes. He can sway decisions. We have 13 MPs. He doesn't. It is well worth it for us to name the candidates that really represent Thawra, that are basically part of it, like Khalifa. But when the moment comes to where we can make a difference, we need to choose and influence the final decision. And one key thing is
Samir, we're losing you.
Things for us. They already did. Actually, they are at the core of our problem. Khomeini was okay. What I'm trying to, but it's the fact that we're influenced by it. So we need to depend on ourselves and as much as we can to make a difference. But we need to also work on the different programs that will help us change.
I'm totally.
Sorry, you lost me a little bit because I had a call. But that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, And we heard the majority of it. Thank you, Samir. And everything you said, it makes complete sense. And yes, we need to support the most impoverished so that they're not easily influenced by the political parties in the last minute, like it was this year. We saw that where they were desperate. I mean, I was in the villages with people in the Bakar, in the south, in the north, like people who didn't want to vote, you know, Shia that just had used to be Hezbollah and they just didn't want to vote for Hezbollah. They've done nothing for them. They were ready to vote for anyone, but they were desperate. They were desperate because they had no money. They had no jobs. Same with the Sunnis, same with different Christians. When they make them so impoverished and so desperate, people give in because they need to eat. They need to feed their children. They need to put, heat their homes. This is a real problem. And you're right, we need to find a way to support the poor people, the poorest people, because there's a lot of people who don't have family overseas. There's people who don't have people in the diaspora sending them money. They don't. Not everyone has family outside. And this is something that I have, that I've been here now 8-9 months, and I keep traveling all the time. Every week I'm somewhere across Lebanon, meeting with people. And it's something that I'm working on to find a way in a project that will really give people back their dignity, allow them to become sustainably independent so that they're not putting their hand out anymore, they're not putting their head down anymore, and especially by the next elections. And it's something that I'll be happy to share with, because I'm just trying to work with a lot of different people to get the best idea. Well, we have an idea, but we want to be able to allow people to stand with dignity and live with dignity and earn. They have capability, but they're now so impoverished that it's like they can't get up because they're just trying to feed themselves. They're trying to eat bread and water. That's where they're getting that's where a lot of the people are at the moment.
What I'd like to say is I'm not on the old talk. I just want to give a little bit of information about myself. I have 2 graduate degrees in biomedical engineering and mechanical engineering, and also in business finance and management. The reason I'm mentioning this, I do have, and I'm working to implement some projects that as a pilot and then duplicate it. We can get money. We are, at least my family and my oldest son is involved in reviewing these projects, and he already implemented some of them in Lebanon that were proposed. So we can help. It just, this is like a new thing to us. And then my statement is, I ask my family in Lebanon, I'm gonna do this and this, and no, you're wasting your time. So it is very discouraging, but I think with our MPs and people that we trust, when they say, if you have something, we will find the people to do it and we'll supervise it. On the other hand, we have a system, or people that run the system, they are smart in a negative way. Everybody says we want to topple the banking system. Well, fine. What's the alternative? Well, these people found another way to suck the sources of money. The diaspora, like myself and other families, we send money to our families. And they know we're sending at least $6-7 billion, more than what they're asking from the bank, what do you call it, the whatever. But what I wanted to say is, if you look at when we send the money, when you transfer it, they get 10 to 12% of it. I don't know, there's a DOB and other organizations that, or systems that you receive the money there, and they take 10, 12%. So if we topple the system, we need to figure out a way where the money is going, most of it, to the beneficiary. So if we're gonna do any projects, we send stuff on the port. Today, I was listening to a program, they're charging they're stealing the money from the customs by offering services to make it happen. I don't know, we need to address these issues.
Yeah.
So we don't want to do efforts with and lose most of it just to the system.
That's true. And you're absolutely right, Samir. We have to know who we can deal with in Lebanon and how we can avoid losing a substantial amount of the contributions that are coming from abroad. And there are ways, but whilst they're in control of those areas, if you're shipping stuff, it is very hard to avoid it. But not everyone in the port or the ports is corrupt. But we have to identify who the ethical companies, ethical NGOs, ethical people on the ground here are that we can work with and are executing or implementing projects that really help people get off the ground, not just handouts, but ways to give people back jobs, create opportunity for them, because this is how we will really strengthen the country, by creating opportunities and jobs for people. And look, I've started a business here because I've still got my company in Australia, thank God, because it pays my wages. But I've employed 5-6 people here because I wanted to give jobs to people here, and they're helping me create all of this content, become much more active and engaged in delivering information to the diaspora especially, but also a global audience. But this is how we can really help people, by giving jobs here and finding ways of how to align with really good people. And it's something that I've also really taken note of, because there's I've been speaking to members of the British government, politicians in Britain, who I've been asked to speak a couple of times now in London at different global events and to a global audience, and they were very shocked by what I told them about Lebanon, because most people have only heard about the blast and not much more. Of course, they know there's corruption and crisis and stuff, but not the details. So there's a lot of people who really want to help Lebanon on a global level, and we have to identify the best way to do that. And it's trade and opportunity, but they don't want to work with the Lebanese government. So I'm trying to create a platform where we can help Lebanon on that decision maker level. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I don't want to overload you, but I'm just overwhelmed with the reaction to my film, and then it's opening doors to speak to decision makers and global leaders, and who are very interested in helping us. And now we're just trying to identify the best way for them to help Lebanon, help our people, help give jobs back to Lebanese, to give them their decency and their dignity back. So I'm in negotiations with people here in Lebanon, but overseas as well to do that. But, Samir, the ideas that you were talking about, projects, if you find the right people, if you want some help, I can try and help, because that's why I'm here. I'm just trying to find out who are the right people to work with.
Yeah, I'm connecting with the MPs. That's why I was trying to find whom I need to work with. I already have started a Facebook page about 4 years ago called Plant Lebanon. And it became more social, but at the end, people would be asking, what should I plant at this location, at this height? And people are helping each other. That was the seed. But now I have a pilot project. All it takes is the area of a tennis court to have a community agriculture and this is happening. We have it here in San Diego. It's a high school that started that project. They converted a tennis court into 3-4 different types of agriculture, including hydroponics and planting in raised beds and so on. I don't want to go into the details, and I have the seed money that I want to implement this, but it won't be successful unless the people, the community itself, take pride and help themselves to maintain it. And then we can take it from there to use it as a pilot to get support from the international community to duplicate it. So we are not starting from nothing.
Wonderful.
So I'm in the process of connecting with key
Wonderful.
people that can at least help me make it happen there.
Wonderful. I
Yep.
commend you for that.
Samir, if on top of what Daisy just said, if you need also help from us as well, please reach out to us, and anything we can do to help, we're ready.
Thank you.
Okay. Hind, you had a question, or do you want to? We're kind of running a little bit over time.
Thank you, Zahi. Daisy kind of answered part of the question that I had, but I want to go back and tell Daisy, I recognize the fact that you are, among others, one of the change makers through the industry that you work into. You are a filmmaker, and your efforts to change, commitment to change in Lebanon has been, happening for years. I remember when you kind of had the documentary about Lebanon imprisoned splendor with Omar Sharif, the narrator, and actually reading from Khalil Gibran's, message, my Lebanon versus your Lebanon. And I think enough comes as a continuum to what you have started back in the 90s in your documentary, and it allows the global community to start looking at Lebanon from a different angle.
Yes.
So the journey continues. It's not going to stop. And our commitment, as you said, you are living a love story, but not with a person, but with a country. And I think this is our story, our love story as Lebanese in diaspora. We are so committed to making our country a better country, a country that we not just feel like proud of, because we are proud of Lebanon no matter what. I can say the true victories that happening are what the Lebanese individuals are achieving around the world, and not our political class, unfortunately. You mentioned something very important about giving the 13 MP the chance to do their work. And we know they don't have a magic wand. They're not going to create miracles, and we have to be patient and realistic, really, and about our expectations of their role in the parliament, knowing that numbers are not working on their behalf, and get from the door, right from the door, they just, off the bat, they were faced with many challenges. And we know the law and the constitution in Lebanon has so many gaps that the political class are really manipulating it to their own advantage. With your work now documenting the work of the MPs and the work of the current Lebanon after October 17th, I would like to hear what would things might look like for the voters in the next elections, and whether what's happening right now, if we have municipality elections, will translate into change on that level.
Thank you very much, Hind, for everything you've said. It is a love story, and I just love being Lebanese, and I'm so proud of it. It's something in my very fiber of my my being. It's I love Australia. I'm so grateful to Australia. I'm very Australian, but this is ancient. What's in me is ancient, and also Lebanon needs me. Lebanon needs me to do what I need to do through using my skills, and it's just the call for justice and truth is so core to my personal belief. If it was happening in Australia, I'd be doing the same thing. But it's not just Lebanon, it's about it's human beings. But these human beings I love so much, because I think we are so incredible. As I think Samir said earlier, we are incredible, unique people. So thank you very much. And I'll continue to work tirelessly and for change. With regards to the question on the municipality elections, it's very important that what we tried and we achieved to an extent in the parliamentary elections to achieve, we must translate it at every level of government, because municipalities have so much power on that ground level, you know, the grassroots level, the community level. So we shouldn't ignore them. We should take real stock of them and focus, and we should encourage our families in Lebanon to make sure they vote in the municipal elections. And hopefully there's enough candidates for change, and there should be, because there's a lot of talk about it. But they're very, very important. And I'm not sure how it's going to translate, but I think that, you know, because there's so much hardship at the moment, people are feeling very deflated. So what happened in the parliamentary elections was, because the diaspora voted a week before, it really gave the Lebanese here a lot of encouragement and support to go and vote. Although still not 50% didn't vote, but, you know, it really helped that process. I don't know how that push or that uplift is going to happen this time with the municipality elections, but at least we, as in the diaspora, should be talking to our families and encouraging them to make sure that they vote, because those little positions, they seem to be little, but they're not. They're very, very powerful. And it's from those levels that you reach up, and we need to change it at every level of government. Change needs to happen on every level of government and in all aspects of society. So I'm hoping, but I'm putting it out to the diaspora not to ignore them. And I think we should make sure that, you know, we share this on our platforms and speak about it, because they're going to be very critical, and they will help us. They will really be a great, you know, indicator for 2026. And so, yeah, push it. We have to push it.
So I just want to say the title of this session is Stories We Tell. And definitely this is the story that you are telling and sharing with the world and with Lebanese everywhere, Lebanese communities. And for all the work that you're doing, we're truly very appreciative. And there's a lot to be done. And we hope the new Lebanon that we all dream of will be happening, or we will be born during our times, right?
It will,
yeah.
Hind. Don't worry, it will.
We have faith. We have faith. Caroline, do you have a question?
Yes, I want to say I'm very proud of you, Daisy, and all Lebanese diaspora who try to help Lebanon and still helping. But there is a very important matter. I spoke to Hind about it before, that to destroy a country destroys the spirit, and the new generation destroys the education. And that's what they're doing. And they make people so poor they can't send their children to the school or university. Even if they pay for university, Lebanese university is not expensive. They don't have the means or the money to commute. So why don't we do something to help the education system in Lebanon, Lebanese university? And I have an idea, like twin cities, توأمة, between cities or universities. And it can be easily done with all the connection we have in the diaspora.
It's a great idea. It's a wonderful idea. And you're absolutely right, Caroline. They're trying to destroy one of the most unique and proud elements and characteristics of the Lebanese. We have the best university still in the whole region. We still have the brightest minds, and all of them are being exported. And they're trying to now leave the people who can't leave. They're trying to make them ignorant, take them back by not being allowed to go to school because they can't afford it. I have so many family and friends who just said, I don't even have $300 to pay for my kids' school fees, you know, or $200. It's not that much to us, but it's so much to them. So if we can come up with this idea to somehow create a schools plan to support kids being able to go to school, I think it's a wonderful idea.
Yes, and what you can do, like you said, somebody can spare $100 from the diaspora. We can make them connection like Big Brother.
Yes.
There is a lot of program, USAID, twinning, like توأمة. It can be happening, but بدنا committee to work on it ومake sure direct contact وفي كمان محاسبة كيف بيوصل المصاري, how they spend it. And I like the idea, somebody told me, إنه each student like adopt another student, not adoption, like be his brother, big sister.
Yeah.
And they can communicate. And you know, this can break the depression and make these people, they want to liberate themselves from what's happening. And you know, a lot of suicidal happening.
Yeah.
People not talking that their son or daughter kills themselves.
Yeah.
And we need to interfere and save the education system. You know why? Because they're giving في توريث سياسي and their kids are not as strong as they are. So they don't want anybody educated and to defy their kids. And they stop all الأحزاب وقفوا هيدا السكولرشيب بعد ثورة 17 تشرين. ما بدهم حدا get educated.
They don't want anyone to argue with them, get knowledge.
Yeah.
Yep, you're right. No, I love the idea, Caroline. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I think we should, but you're right, we need to just structure a committee or some organization that can help develop the relationship with the diaspora and here to implement a strategy. So, you know, I'll take it away. There are people here. I think Zaina's involved in something, Zaina Mukaddam, Zahi, but there's an I Teach program or something. Maybe we can ask her if it might work with her program that she's involved in. But education is critical, Caroline. It's everything.
Yeah, I know about Zena program, but it's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking to reach out to universities abroad to, يعني, to facilitate scholarship, to take students from Lebanon to their the diaspora, to have adoption system, cities to have توأمة with other cities or universities, you know, bigger international scale.
Right, but we need to get school kids to primary school. You know, I've supported some people in the Bakar because they didn't have money to send their kids to primary school. Like, they couldn't send them, and I'm hearing it everywhere. Like it's we need to start at the grassroots even before we get to the universities. So your education is critical.
Yeah, Caroline, let's circle back together, Hind, you and I, and then we'll try to get a plan together. The same thing with what Samir mentioned. You know, we all have our network and we all have contacts that maybe we can get the ball rolling. Samir, do you have closing remarks?
Yeah, very quick question.
Please.
This is something that really we're talking about education. We have a grant for 2,400. I understand that they confirmed receipt, but they're nowhere to be found. I think this is something hot. Maybe you can help or anyone or tell people in Lebanon to find them and pass them on. Things like that really are discussion. They take them and then they sell them. This is ridiculous. That's my major concern. I think we can make big difference. We can implement things. Somehow we need to establish a trustworthy group in Lebanon that we can communicate with and support and know that things are happening, not being diluted by thieves.
Akid.
So my statement is, it's almost like we have a big barrel of water, we are filling it, but there's big holes. We need to plug those holes that are emptying these resources. And I just want to confess, I haven't seen your film. I'd love to see it. I haven't found it to see how I saw it. And I appreciated you, and good luck. And we are with you. If not physically, we are with our hearts and minds. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Samir, and I'll let Zahi let you know how to get a hold of it, watch the film. I'll let him know. But thank you very much. And
Definitely.
as much as you're with me, I'm with you. This is this is together. We can't do this alone. It has to be a collective.
Unfortunately, Daisy, we are out of time, and specifically with you, we can talk for hours and hours, and we can actually, for the first maybe hour and 15 minutes, we created the half of the political agenda or political campaign for 2026, if you think about it. So yeah, we have a lot of work to do, but I see the light, and it's a positive thing. So thank you for your time. Thank you for everything you do for Lebanon, and we're 1,000% next to you and with you. Anything we can do to help, we are always here.
Thank you so much, Zahi. Thank you, Hind. Thank you, everyone, for having me and for giving me the chance to share what's going on from my perspective. And I'm 1,000% with you guys. We need to do this together. And it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you tonight.
Pleasure was all ours. Thank you. Thank you, Daisy.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Thank you, Daisy. I just want to point out that today